Hey y'all, it's Bailey with Reclaim Grace. I'm so happy you clicked on this video. Today, I love how every single project came out. I want to keep them all for myself. Not going to, but we have some Christmas, we have some everyday, and we have one project that works really well for the fall season. So we have a little bit of everything. Y'all let me know what project is your favorite. And I also wanted to take a minute and let y'all know that YouTube has came out with a hype button. If you find this video extra good and entertaining, under the comments, you can swipe over to the right one time and you'll see where you can hype this video one time. So if y'all don't mind doing that for your girl, I would greatly appreciate it. Y'all let me know what project is your favorite, and we're going to get started right now. Hey guys, starting off with this first project, which is a thrifted wooden bucket ice cream machine thing. We're starting off by taking off this metal label. It's just held on with a couple of screws. And we are going to be crustying that in a later step, and we just needed to get it out of the way for right now. Then I've already gave it one good clean already, but I'm going to clean underneath that label really well. Here is our inspiration for this project. A friend of mine seen this, pinned it on Pinterest and sent it to me and said, please find me this. And I said, oh my God, I have a bucket like that in my stash. Let me recreate that for you. So we're starting off with DIY paint. This is in the color Mint Chip. We're going to go ahead and give it a messy coat, not really worrying about if we're hitting those metal ribs going around the exterior of the bucket. It's fine. We can paint right over them, and I am going to cut in around those side metal pieces though and try not to get any paint on that part. I let that mint chip dry, and now I'm bringing out Apothecary. We're going to use 3 different shades of blue, all DIY paint. And with this layer, I'm going to mainly go heavy on the center of each section of this bucket and then kind of feather it in to that metal ridge going around the exterior. I'm trying not to overthink it. We just need several layers of blue. So I'm letting the paintbrush skip across some of the wood grain, the texture on this bucket, and I'm just going to do one coat like this right here. Here is what we're looking like after that layer is dry. We're working on our 3rd layer now. I'm bringing out Farm Fresh. Now, my Farm Fresh has been dried up for a while. Y'all have probably seen me use it in previous videos when I'm trying to add old patina looks. So I have watered it down, trying to reactivate it, so now it's really watery. So it's not going to be the full intensity as it usually would be, is what I'm saying. But I'm going to come in and just hit some areas. I'm going to dry that paint in place so I can see what it's looking like. But remember, with DIY paint, you're really not going to know its true color until you put a clear coat over it. So I'm just going to keep on playing around with that until I like the way it looks, drying and checking it out, and then doing it again, adding another layer. And I did this on the entire bucket. I will note, I'm drying these layers so they do not blend when they're wet. This paint is easily blendable, so I didn't want those colors to blend together. Okay, so now I'm taking my Sweet Pickins flat clear coat. This is a true matte sheen, and I really wanted that for this piece. And I'm going to give it one healthy coat of this clear coat, and now you can really see the true colors coming out and all the layers from this DIY paint. Now it's time to make the runs that we see in this picture right here. So I have some chocolate Dixie Belle paint and some black chalk paint. And I'm mixing it in a little Dixie cup off to the side, and I'm going to create like a dark brown color. And just looking back at this picture constantly for, my next steps, right? So it is heavily on the ridges of the bucket. So I'm using my water mister and making this paint run down the bucket, and I'm going to leave that dark chocolate paint heavy on those actual metal pieces, so it looks rusty, right? And you can control this, add more water if you want more runs, less water if you don't want any runs, right? And I constantly have a blue shop towel off to the side, and I keep on checking on those runs, and I'll blot them off if they start running too long. So I'm also going to do that to the metal hinges on the side, and I'm going to do that bottom metal piece around the bucket as well, and the other side. And I just play around with this until I like the way it looks. We do have a clear coat down, so I can wipe this right off with a baby wipe if I wanted to. But I'm definitely getting underneath that rib, so it's got like a shadow behind it. Now, our inspiration picture had runs coming from the bottom also, so I flipped the bucket upside down, and I'm going to do this same process and let the runs fall down this time. Y'all, I have to say, this project was so fun. Like, I really, really enjoyed working on this project for some reason. It was just kind of, I don't know, creatively freeing, I guess. So here is what we're looking like. I'm drying some of those runs in place with my heat gun, and now let's move on to that shiny metal. We do not want it to be shiny metal. So I'm going to take that same dark brown paint and just messily paint those pieces, and I'm going to paint this little metal plaque as well. Just one coat is good. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now everything on this bucket is dry. I have some grunge mix that a sweet viewer gifted me last year. And I have never used it. This is my first time using it. It's just a mix of spices. I don't really know exactly what's in it, but I know for sure some cinnamon's in it because my workshop was smelling divine. So I got Mod Podge here. I'm just tapping it on the metal surfaces and then sprinkling some of the grunge mix up there, tapping it into place. This was pretty messy, but it was fun. So I did that to the handles, and I'm also going to do it to these metal ribs, just in a few places, not all over, just here and there to make it look like it's rusty and falling apart pretty much. Now I'm going to do the same thing to this metal plaque, just hitting some of the areas with the Mod Podge and then sprinkling the grunge mix on it and really pressing it into that Mod Podge with my fingers, and then I'll knock off the excess. Now our inspiration picture had a wood handle, and this one has a plastic one, so I kind of wanted to disguise that it was plastic, so I'm just going to put 2 coats of apothecary paint up there. I wet distressed it a little bit. I did give this a flat clear coat just to hold in that grunge mix, and so it doesn't shed everywhere. And here are our final photos of our makeover. I think it turned out phenomenal. I was so impressed. I love it, y'all. I let her have this for $25 because she's a friend, but if I was to put this in my booth, I'd probably price it for around $69. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this transformation. Moving on to project number 2, I thrifted these ceramic canisters. They're glossy white, nothing on them, no design or anything. I paid around $4 for this set of 3. We are breaking out some stamps for this project. This is the, oh my goodness, what is the name of this stamp? crockery stamps. This was my first ever IOD purchase, and I cut them up, which is fine. It's fine if you do that. But here I have a thin mount. I'm dusting it with cornstarch, or actually flour this time, and I dusted this little mini rolling pin with flour too, so this wet air dry clay would not stick to it. And I am rolling that clay out to about maybe an eighth of an inch thick. Just play around with it. And I'm pressing this stamp. I'm going to make it an impression into the wet clay. Now I didn't dust this one, just it didn't turn out that great, so I was like, let's retry that again. I need to press harder to create a deeper impression. So I just flattened it out. I dusted the back of my stamp this time, and that helped a lot with the stamp not sticking to the clay. So I used my rolling pin and my fingers this time, and it turned out a lot better. It picked up all the little letters, all the designs. I absolutely love how this one came out. Now I'm going to come in with an X-Acto knife. Our clay is still wet, and I'm going to cut out the shape. And then I'm just going to peel up that clay on the outside of our shape, ball it back up, and we're going to reuse it for the next one. And this came off the thin mount pretty easily. You just got to peel it back gently, and then I just smoothed out the edges with my finger. And we are going to be gluing this down to our canisters with some Titebond Quick and Thick. So I just spread that out evenly on the back of my clay, and we're going to get this pressed on to the smallest canister. I'm going to make sure there's no gaps around the outside. I want this to be perfectly, up there. So now I've rolled out my second piece of clay, and I'm using the second stamp I've chosen for the medium canister. I'm going to cut that one out, and I believe this one is my favorite. I just love the design on this one. And we're going to glue this the same way to this canister, and here is the third piece. This one was pretty thick, but I still like how it came out. And this one is the marmalade one. I absolutely love this one as well, and we're going to glue it to the largest canister. I did let this dry overnight. Thankfully, the clay did not crack or anything. It looked great. So now we're going to paint our canisters. I have some sandstone alchemy paint, just because it's a good crock color, if you asked me. And I'm going to mix it with some salt wash so we can get some texture in that paint. And let's start painting it. I'm going to paint the outside. I'm not going to paint the inside of the canister so it can be 100% food safe, because these lids did come with some really good seals. So you could put, they're airtight is what I'm saying. Whenever it comes to painting the actual clay piece, I'm going to mist the casting and then come in with my paintbrush so I don't fill in all that gorgeous detail with my textured paint. And it makes the paint go down in all the crevices a lot easier. I am going to paint this top lip and down inside the canister just a little bit. It's still the outside of the canister, but you can just see this part whenever the lid's on. And then here we are painting the lid. I am keeping my brush strokes going like in the same direction so it has that crock vibe to it. I did 2 coats of that sandstone color, and you can see that gorgeous ribbed texture that we have going on. And I would recommend sealing now. Seal now and then come in with what I'm about to do, because this paint is water based, so this product kind of did some distressing. but it's fine. I still like how it came out. So now we're coming in and we're going to bring out all that gorgeous texture. We're going to use the Van Dyke Brown Antique Glaze by Paint Couture to let it sit into all the text of our stamped image, and it just brings it out so beautifully. But we're going to go ahead and do the rest of our canister as well. I'm going to work in sections because, like I said, this isn't clear coated yet, but with a wet wipe you can pull back pretty much as you want to. I'm letting some areas be darker than others, and right here when I was wiping, it did take some of the paint away right there, but I like the way it looks. It kind of just adds more character to it and makes it look more aged. So we're going to get the rest of these antiqued up. I'm going to do the bottom and that upper lip area so it has a uniform look, and I'm also going to do the same thing to the lids. Look at that difference. It's amazing. I have had several people ask me to break down the channel membership information to y'all, and I would love to do that. So here it is. There is two options. There is rescued and restored. Rescued is $3.99 per month. You can cancel anytime. And that just is kind of like a tip, like buying me a coffee, something like that. You know, it's just an extra thank you. Here's you some paintbrushes, you know, just like a tip. And you also get member shout outs in all my videos, and you get a little badge next to your name whenever you comment on one of my videos. So next is restored. Now this one is $9.99 per month. Again, you can cancel anytime. And this one you get a lot of perks. You get the same as rescued, the member badges whenever you comment on my videos. You get member shout outs. But also you get an extra video a month. And what that video is going to contain is my booth sales for the previous month. So I'm going to break down what actually sold in my booth, how much I listed it for, if I had to do a discount on it that month, all the nitty gritty of the booth life. You also get a code to my website that will include free shipping. If you order 3 times a month on my website, you get 3 times free shipping. It doesn't have a limit on it or anything. And you get a chance to win some of my freebie craft stash. Y'all, I have so much craft supplies that I don't even know what to do with at this point, and I just want to share it with y'all. So I believe the $9.99 per month is like a heck of a deal for that membership. If y'all need any more information, you can find it linked down in my description box. It will say, do you want to be a member? And it will have a link underneath it. And it has everything I just said written out for you. Back to this project, we let that glaze dry for 24 hours, and then we are spraying a flat clear coat on the canisters, and these are finished. Y'all, I cannot tell you how much I adore these. I really want to keep them for myself, but my booth needs some canisters. They just sell so well for me. I'm thinking I'm going to price them for $43 for the set. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that price, and let me know what y'all think about this project too. Our last set of projects, we are going to be working on some DIY Christmas ornaments. We are using the Victoriana mold. Y'all have seen me break into this one a lot of times already this season. It's one of my favorites. I'm dusting it with some cornstarch and pushing some air dry clay into the designs I want. going to scrape off that back, make it nice and flat, and then I'm going to flex the mold, flip it over, and release my casting. And look at all that gorgeous detail. I did another one from this mold as well, and then I grabbed out a different mold. Now, I ought to be ashamed of myself, but this is the first time I'm breaking into vintage brooches. This one was out of stock for a while, and I finally got it back in, but I'm dusting this one with cornstarch, and I'm going to do 2 of this pretty little design right here. Then I'm jumping back over to the Victoriana mold, and we're going to dust the tiny flying birds. I absolutely love the birds on this mold. They are just so tiny, but they are very, very delicate. So I left the cornstarch in there pretty heavy, and I am going to peel that one out, and it came out beautifully. And I'm also going to do the second bird as well, but we're going to end up placing these on these clear ornaments that you get from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to put 2 of the birds kind of flying together like they're meeting each other. You know, it's just super, super cute. And that one came out pretty good as well. It took a lot of practice, y'all, to get these out where you can still kind of make out what they are, if you know what I mean. Now we're going to start gluing these down. I got all my castings made, and I'm letting it sit up there and take shape as I'm, working on each ornament. I'm going to use my Titebond Quick and Thick again. I have a big glue booger in that spout, and it makes my glue hard to come out. But we're going to make sure we're pressing those edges down well so we don't have large gaps in between the clay and the ornament. And I'm getting off any glue squeeze out as it's happening. It's easier to get it off whenever it's wet. Don't let it dry up there, and then it's just aggravating. Now we're moving on to the next ornament. Going to glue the brooch down first. Get out that glue booger. Wipe it on my workbench. I am not a clean crafter, y'all. I'm sure y'all have noticed that by now. And we're going to get these birds glued down. Just a little bit of glue. It doesn't take much. I always go overboard with the glue, so I'm going to use my paintbrush and kind of just brush away any glue squeeze out. And we're going to set these to the side and let them dry up. Now, I didn't want them to dry all the way. I just let them sit to the side for about an hour, hour and a half, just so it could form a little crust on the exterior of the clay and make sure the glue is dry enough to proceed. So I removed the hanging hardware, and we're going to be doing these in 2 different colors. The first one, we are going to use the Alchemy line in the color Clay. Y'all, this is why my hands cannot stay clean. I'm a very hands-on person, and my really good friend just gifted me this ring. It replaced my cross ring that had like stones missing out of it. And I already had glue and clay and paint all over it, so I gave that a quick wipe down with a baby wipe. And we're going to mix up some salt wash and that clay color to get a textured paint. And I'm just going to dab and stipple this paint on the slick surfaces of the ornament. This paint has great coverage. But yeah, we're just creating some texture here. I got inspired to do this project from the IOD Creative Tribe. If I can find it, which I've already looked and I can't, but I'm going to try harder, I'm going to link it down in my description box. Whenever we're painting over the clay piece, we're going to be very careful not to distort the detail. This clay is not all the way dry, so I'm going to use my mister to help that paint flow and into the nooks and crannies. And with this one, since it was so detailed, I actually watered down some paint to paint the details, and that worked really, really well. Now we're moving on to our second color. I'm going to open up this brand new jar of Marquee DIY paint my friend Emily at J. Bowen & Company sent me. And we're going to make a maroon color. So I just Googled what colors to mix to make maroon. And it said add blue paint to your red paint, and then add a little bit of brown. So this is some old blue paint. I wanted to get used up by Waverly, so I used that, and then I start adding in my brown paint. This is Chocolate by DIY. By Dixie Belle, and I just keep on adding colors until I like the way it looks, and I am loving this dark, maroon color right here. So now I'm going to add some salt wash and do the same technique to the other two ornaments. As these are sitting off to the side and drying, I'm going to grab our little hanger clasp pieces that go on the top of the ornaments, and I'm going to give them just really quick coat of a chalk style black paint. Does not have to be full coverage, just get the paint up there and we'll come back to those. So now we're on to our second coat of paint. This step you kind of have to work fast because the paint needs to be wet. We're going to be adding flour to these. Y'all remember that Halloween project? We're going to be doing the same kind of thing. So a shifter would have been nice, but I couldn't find one. So I'm just going to dump it up there and sprinkle it up there with my hands. And I'm going to coat this ornament entirely. I dropped it. That did not hurt it, but I did swear a little bit. We're going to get these heavily dusted, and then I have this like little setup off to the side with a piece of foam and a stick so it can dry. And I'm going to leave it alone and let it dry for several hours, and we're going to do the same thing to the other three ornaments. Some time has lapsed and I feel like it's dry enough. So now I'm going to come in with my big little fluffing paintbrush, and very easily at first I start dusting the dry flour off of the ornament. Then I feel like, okay, this is going well, and I start putting a little bit more oomph in the dusting off part. I just really want this to look like a velvet look. That's the whole point. So I'm just going to play around with it, dust it off, and try to get as much flour off as you possibly can. This one right here is my absolute favorite, how that flour fell into all the details. Oh my God, I love that one. So now back to our little hanger pieces. I have some Paint Couture Bronze Luxe Metallic Paint, and I did 2 coats on these, having to let it dry in between coats about an hour. Once they were good and dry and all shiny looking, I'm going to add these back to our ornaments, and then we're going to add some black velvet ribbon to the tops of these. I got this ribbon off of Temu. It came in a pack of 6 with all different colors in it, and it was very reasonably priced. I'm going to tie a knot, cut off any excess, and then these are finished. Y'all, I absolutely love how these turned out. The maroon ones are my favorite, but I love all 4 of them. I'm going to price them, I believe, for $13 a piece. They are pretty large, but with the ornaments, you really can't get your money's worth out of them with all the work that goes into them, in my opinion. But they were definitely fun to recreate. What do y'all think about these? If I can find the inspiration, I'll have that link down in the description box. And that's all I have for y'all today, my friends. I really hope you enjoyed these projects and makeovers. They were a lot of fun this week to me. If you got any inspiration from this video today, hit that like button, comment down below, and let me know what project was your favorite. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. Thank y'all so much for spending your time with me today. I'll talk to y'all in the comments. Bye.